your child will become a topper when you say that he cannot do something, he's just so worse, she's just so worse, she doesn't even, does this, and she's pretty slow. This is what we do to children. So I have talked. So now, when you think about it, okay, we've spoken about four qualities here. One is secure. Now you know what is the trait, what is the symptom of a secure baby. Then you have anxious. Then you have avoidant. What are their traits? What are their symptom? When they grow up, what do they look like? What do they behave like? I didn't speak enough about disorganized. So disorganized is very unpredictable, okay? So for them, sometimes they will just avoid you, sometimes they will just cut you off, they will be very rude to you, and sometimes they will be very clingy to you. So these are the people who who don't know how to process their emotions, who doesn't know how to even express what's happening, and because they don't understand themselves. Do you think they will be able to handle you? They cannot. So what do these babies do, okay? They get into bad relationship, they get into toxic relationship, they always seem to be attracted towards red flags, and they just keep doing themselves, okay? And even when you tell them that this is not good for you, that is not good for you, they will always seem to be attracted, and they will say, I cannot come out of it, I cannot help it, I just love them so much. Now when I say I just love them so much, you will know that when somebody is saying something is not good for them, and why are they going towards I just love them so much, why does it happen? It's because their attachment, they unconsciously, okay, sorry, not unconsciously, I'm sorry, subconsciously they are going towards it. They want that because their parents behaved in a bad manner, because the society was not accepting enough for them. So what do? They subconsciously choose to go there. They want those emotions because now they are not able to accept it. So something, if even if something nice happens to them, what do? They go back to those emotions. Somebody who treats them badly, okay, they will fall in love with those people because they remind them of parents and that abuse that happened, and you will get addicted to it. And people can get addicted to emotions and person because it is just so familiar to you, it's just so nice to you. Do you think if I have a bad self esteem and I have a bad childhood, i will be I will be staying with someone who's very secure, who will be very nice to me and supportive? I won't like that person at all. Instead, I will go to someone who shouts at me, who puts me down, who controls me. I will love that sort of nature until I don't know, until I learn about it, until you learn about it. And this is what happens. So you'll have to look back as to what is it what is the behavior that you're actually reflecting. And what is now we have spoken about how do you identify them? What are the most common examples that I can say in a world is you will have bosses like that. You will have bosses with a lot of insecurity. Maybe you will have people with a lot of insecurity. So you might have some friends around who might have a very disorganized nature. And so the disorganized ones are the ones that will get exposed to a lot of drug habits, alcohol, smoking, any kind of violence, any kind of rage. So these people will have that sort of nature, and you need to look out for them. Need to look out as in, you don't have to, like, if they are very close to you and you can't help it, then you'll have to understand and start working to develop those habits, develop them also in a way. But if you can avoid at all cost, I would say that because they need a lot of therapy, they need a lot of self work to be done. If you are just meeting them, okay, so I would say, like, stay away from them. Not because it's selfish or, oh, I shouldn't be like that, but it is not your business. It is not your business because it will take a lot of work. If they cannot work on themselves, do you think you can make them work on themselves? Highly unlikely to do that, okay? And I told you why does it happen and what can you do about it. Now, what are the most common examples that I can tell you that we see in our society is, we seem to say when you're in relationship or maybe like a partner, and you will see these natures as, why does she text me so many times? Why doesn't he reply me at all? Why is he like this? Yesterday he was talking to me nicely so much yesterday, and today he just seems so off. He didn't reply me yesterday and he just ghosted. And sometimes you will say, he doesn't give me space at all, and she does not care at all. He cares too much, she doesn't care so much, okay? Then sometimes you will say, that she's just so jealous. You need to understand, where is this jealousy come from? Is it from anxiousness? Is it the fear that you're going to leave them? Because anxious people have this behavior that they always believe that they love you, you don't love them back, so they need that lot of that security. So they will always be like, do you love me? Do you love me? Do you think you're going to leave me? Or maybe subconsciously they're just thinking that you're going to leave them. Have you had person like that who always has this fear that you're going to leave them no matter what? So you need to look back as to what happened in your past that has hurt you so much that you're behaving in a certain way. Okay, so I've given you common examples. Can you think of some common examples for yourself? So, like, jealousy and space, and understanding is not there, maybe too much. They just want to talk too much, you don't want to talk so much. And similar sort, can you give me an example, one of you? That will be amazing. Everybody has slept, I am guessing.
There are some people that I know that have different traits. So they have some of the traits of the disorganized, where where they'll be really nice, and then next minute they just do a runner, and you don't hear from them, and you're thinking, what's happened there? But then they don't fulfill the rest of the disorganized. I don't think they've had trauma or anything. They might, have a few of the others, maybe, like avoidance. So can you have mixtures of all?
Yes, yes.
And then what do you
So
come under then?
yes. So what happens? So, like, if I take an example of myself, I started off somewhere as an anxious person. Then, because I got hurt so many times, I became an no. So I was somewhere between anxious and disorganized, and that always used to reflect in my friendships, in my relationship with my family. And it will always differ. And some people I'm very secure with, so because I have a good connection, because I trust with them, I have trust with them. And then from secure and somewhere from anxious to avoidant, I became completely avoidant, actually. And then because I got so hurt, I said, feelings are not nice, and I don't need that. So I kept avoiding people, I kept avoiding situations that can involve such emotions. So yes, you can be a mixture of all these things. So your behavior, personally per se, will also reflect, as in you might have a very secure relationship with one of your friend, but you will have very toxic relationship with your partner. It can happen at the same point of time.
Thank you.
Okay, anybody else? 7:45 it says. Okay, anyways, so the most common one that I want to speak of is a relationship per se. Now I'm talking about relationship, okay? So most common example that you will see in over here is somewhere of an anxious partner and an avoidant partner. Now, why is that? Because an anxious partner needs a lot of security, and an avoidant partner gives it sometimes, but pulls it back also. So an anxious partner has this need fulfilled of their childhood trauma, or maybe like any trauma that they have gone through. And similarly, they get a lot of affection also from them, because when the avoidant partner is in like an happy state, okay, they're feeling comfortable and they're feeling attached. So what happens? They give a lot of love, they give a lot of affection that time, and then they pull back. So their need is also fulfilled, and avoidant partner's need is also fulfilled, because avoidant partner needs a lot of affection, not a lot of assurance, that they're not going to leave me. I have them wrapped around my fingers, and I can make them do whatever they want, because I know they're not going to leave. So that's the most common one that you will see around. And that's what people say, that they can't leave that relationship. That's what they say, that it is so difficult to leave, because they are meeting all of your needs. So you're subconsciously, you are getting all of your needs met. Maybe it was your past trauma also, and bad childhood, maybe something that your parent showed you, maybe one of your parent was something like that, and you kind of resonate with them, and you can't leave them, because it feels familiar to stay there, it feels familiar to be in that position. And that's what happens in a lot of relationship, that they cannot leave. That's a lot of toxicity. They hurt each other, okay, they hurt each other verbally and mentally, and they say a lot of bad things about each other, and they cannot. So 1 week you will see them is very happy, and next moment that you see it, they're fighting and like crazy, they're smacking things around, throwing things around, saying bad things about each other, like verbally abusing, like using bad words. And the next moment they might be okay the next week. And everybody has seen those examples, and it's very common. But you need to understand, where are they coming from? So what is it, why do they stick together so much? Is because all of their needs are being met. What can you do? Even when you tell them, like it has happened to me, that I told my friend that, this is the kind of relationship that you are in, and maybe you would want to look at. And she'll be like, yeah, I should not do this, and I will leave this person now, because it was just like, it's it was not like such a long term relationship. And she didn't, she just kept going for years and years and years, and staying the same way. It happens sometimes. I used to stay like that until I understood what was going around. I didn't knew, I was just attracted to red flags. Now what are red flags? I'm pretty sure if you don't know, you can ask. Otherwise, I'm pretty sure people are aware of what are red flags. Those are basically signals and warnings and signs that you see in a person, that that is dangerous, that is harmful. Like if you see a jealousy in starting of a relationship, then you know that that's a red sign and red flag, and you don't want to go, you don't want to continue such behavior, because it takes a lot. Okay, so by now you must have realized who you are. I want to
Mhm.
know who you are. If you're secure, if you're avoidant, if you are anxious, or if you're disorganized. And please understand, there's no shame in it, there is no problem in it. You can always work, you can always get up from wherever you are, you can always become a better version of yourself. So there is no harm. Okay,
Sonia,
now, yes.
can you give a few more examples of red flags?
Oh, yes. Oh, I love red flags. That's my favorite topic. So, red flags is something that if you see, let's just say you go on first date and something is off about it. Maybe they judge people by the way they look. Maybe they judge you by the way you look. So they say that, oh, you look much fatter than your profile picture, something like that. Okay. So that's a red flag that you see. Maybe let's say that if the relationship has gone for a little bit more time, and you see that they've started becoming protective of their phone and something that they don't want to share. Now that's a red flag that you are seeing. Okay, because something is suspicious, something is off about it. There are, so on my Instagram, if you go, I have made about I think about 90 plus list of red flags. So you can just go check them out and you can resonate. So something that they don't trust you too easily, and you need permission to go out maybe with your friends, because they are not comfortable. And when you know that you are in that situation, you know it is bad for you. So those are the red flags that you need to look out for, specifically in a relationship, is what I'm speaking of. Does that make
Okay,
sense?
thank you. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, so you can just check out. If you still don't understand, then maybe you can talk to me personally, we'll talk about it. And so what do you do? Okay, now what happens? Now I know where I'm standing, and where what is my attachment style, and who am I, and what am I supposed to do. And what am I supposed to do is where your journey will start. Okay, now it's not very easy, please understand, and whoever you are, because it has come from a place of childhood, when you didn't know better, when you didn't know how to function better, so you couldn't do anything about it, and that time you were helpless. But now you've grown up, so now you can change. Okay, and when you can change, as in the change is not easy, but it is necessary. I always say this, that I know it's not easy to change. I know it is very traumatic to go back and look at those situations. I don't want to look back, but I have to look back and tell myself that it's all right, you didn't knew better, you couldn't do anything in that situation. And then from there you pick up yourself, and then give it a lot of comfort maybe to that situation, and then say that, okay, that 13-year-old kid didn't knew better, but now I know, so now I can have good relationship, and define your good relationship. What does it mean? So with people also, So let's say if you have a lot of self confidence problem in your office also, and you think your voice is not being heard, so you might want to see why is that happening. Did it happen that in your school, somebody bullied you saying that you can't speak in front of stage, or you look a certain way? So you might want to look at that also. So it's not very particularly stuck to the fact that it can be your parents, but it can be a lot of factors, such as, so firstly it was parents, then the family, your siblings, and then it goes to school, the kind of teachers that you have. From teachers, then you will have your relationship. Okay, then you might have started dating by 16, 18. So your relationship, if you had one traumatic relationship, that will also leave something behind you. So you might have started getting, you might have started developing the new normal for yourself. So if you had abuse in your first relationship, so you will think that's normal. What is the big deal about it? Yeah, that's pretty much normal, because you don't know what can a secure relationship look like. So you can get habitual to that. So it can be because of past relationship that you have, and it can be the past surrounding that you have. So if your environment is not also so supportive, you might also feel that is very normal, and it is affecting the way who you are today. So to change all of that, you need to look back, as in which part am I still holding on to, which part am I still thinking that it is true. So when I had to start working on myself, I had to start from scratch. I had to start from my parents maybe, and then I had to start working on my school life, because teachers were also not supportive. They used to say such things that, she's so dumb, and she can't learn so much, and you should not have studied this particular subject, and she doesn't do so well. So I always thought that I am pretty slow, and I cannot read properly, and I cannot function so well. So that's what used to happen. And then from there, I went through some relationship which were not good enough for me. And then I thought that was the new normal, and my life is supposed to be like that. I am destined to have bad relationship, and I cannot seem to follow and never find my one true love per se. So you have to start working on those factors, and how I am talking to myself is also one big factor. So now we'll have to see, as in I've given you some ways, and now I can give you another example. Okay, so if you're single, you should start working. If you're looking for a relationship, or you're thinking that you have to develop better relationship in your life, then you have to start working on how you treat yourself. So like setting good standards, like we discussed previously, and setting good standards, because when you have good standards for yourself, you will not fall into that trap. You will not go to a toxic relationship, and when you see something like that, step back, because you have a moment to step back. At least you have not stuck by it for a period of time. So choose better. If you are already in a relationship and you cannot do anything about it, then I would highly suggest that you have an open communication with them. Okay, open communication, as in you talk to them that this is something that's bothering me, and this is something that I think I feel insecure about. Can we work on it? Maybe if it is extreme case, then I would really suggest you to go for some kind of therapy. If you've been in a relationship for so long and you think this is not working out, or you have some kind of issues still going around, maybe past issues and the way they are, or maybe your marriage or your relationship is not working out, and if you really want to stick by, then I would really recommend you to go see a therapist and maybe like do some therapy. And if it is not with your partner, but it is actually with some of your family member, like you can have a bad relationship with your mother, maybe father, maybe like a sibling, or maybe you just had like a bad relationship with your friend and something happened and you have a lot of resentment towards them. So I would say that start communicating and start looking at yourself as to how did you play into that part, what was your role into that situation. And if it is with family, let's say you have a toxic family and they don't support you and they don't talk to you nicely, so it is one, what you can do is you can start developing your self esteem, so you don't depend on them, so you don't like really rely on them. And second thing what you can start doing is start avoiding, because what happened naturally, the trigger button starts. So if I have a tendency that I see someone and all of a sudden my emotional button goes bang 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 bang, what happens? I need to do is I have to prepare myself that this is happening to me. Second, I would want to avoid those certain situations. So if you can avoid as much as you can. Don't get into it. Don't get involved into it so much, because it is nothing but energy vampires, okay? And they're not serving your right purpose. And what is the point of going back to them? And just because society wants you or they want you to do that, they can be an influence in your life, and you might want to like stay away from them for a while until you prepare yourself, and then prepare for a nice time, and then maybe you deal with them in a certain way. Also, like if it's your manager or someone, then you might want to